Hey guys, so I just finished watching Chris Williamson's second vlog about his health issues and his extreme health modalities that he's doing to try and heal. So the video in question is called It's Time to Talk About My Health Again, where he's in Austria and he's doing, I believe it's called HHO. It's a super intense 3-in-1 healing treatment where it's a 4-day process and they put you out and they use ozone, they use apheresis, they use fever therapy, many of which I've done myself, just not all together. And I've actually had a couple clients do this exact therapy as well. So this is a really good watch. And I want to just go over, if you've already seen this video, okay, or you can just pause my video and go watch this now and then come back to this. I really want to go over this video and the important themes of this video. Okay, I have coached world-class performers over the last 9 years, MLB players, NFL players, UFC fighters, multiple UFC fighters, billionaires, multiple elite world-class entrepreneurs. I mean, I have a whole roster of clients who are very, very impressive and doing huge things on the planet. But this video is highlighting some very central themes that I have observed time and time again when it comes to high performers and their healing, particularly with chronic illness issues, okay? So I myself dealt with 4 years of severe chronic illness, near-death chronic illness, and I learned a tremendous amount about the mind, body, and spirit during that initiation, during honestly what I would call a death, right? Dark night of the soul, a deep, deep death where I couldn't function. For 4 years, I lived in the Amazon jungle. I tried all different kinds of extreme modalities, and it was a major turning point in my life and has actually brought me the biggest gift in the world, which is my business and my offering back to the planet. So I want to talk about the first item here is just about, I respect Chris. I think he's doing amazing work. This video is not meant to be a knock whatsoever on his path, his journey. Illness is real, symptoms are real, his suffering is real, and he's making just a genuine, sincere effort to try and heal from this chronic illness. Like, there's nothing but respect to the path that he's on. But I am seeing quite a few patterns emerging in his videos that I have seen time and time again in my almost 10 years of doing this. Okay, so what I'd like to do is just go over these patterns and share more with you guys about how important it is about the how you do your healing. It's not about what you do to heal. Just as important, if not more important, is the how you do your healing. Okay? So the first thing I'd like to point out is the relationship to the diagnosis, right? When high performers, very, very intellectual, smart people, once they see these tests and these metrics on a test result, you start having a million different enemies. You start having the MTHFR enemy, the Lyme, the SIBO, the Epstein-Barr, the H. pylori, the heavy metals, the mold. You start having a million different enemies, okay? And what that does is it actually puts your body into fight or flight. You actually generate a war-like mentality with your own body, okay? And you have to hunt every single serial killer. You're going, all right, well, let's tackle mold now, and let's tackle this, and let's tackle this. And you can never win this war against 10 enemies, right? The only way to win this war is to actually heal the terrain. So you have to alter the terrain in the body so that it no longer becomes hospitable to all of these enemies, right? And this is just a classical example of, if you keep focusing on the enemies and keep going down the checklist of every single enemy and go all in to attacking every enemy, you actually never focus on, how they say you can't solve a problem at the level of the problem? You can't just constantly attack these enemies. You actually have to learn how to create an inhospitable environment. And this involves acidity versus alkalinity. It involves the nervous system and calming down the nervous system in a deep, deep way. Okay, and it involves a level of safety. You have to have safety in the nervous system and in the body. And this is a very, very big subject. And I'm not going to dive too deep into it because I have a lot of other themes here. But this is a general theme that I've seen where essentially people have many different enemies. They create a war mentality against the enemies, even though it's all happening in their body. And this is very destructive to the nervous system. Okay. The other thing is around materialism. So I'm not talking about materialism in a sense of like that he likes nice things and that he has a lot of money or anything like that. I'm talking about materialism in a Rudolf Steiner sense, which is that once healing becomes devoid of soul, when you take the spirit and the soul out of healing and it just becomes a series of metrics and numbers, you lose something very, very precious. You know, he said things like, I crossed everything off the list. I fixed all of the problems I had, but I didn't actually fix the problem, which was the depression, the sadness, the brain fog. You know, what's next on the list? Like, what's the next thing I have to tackle? So this is more like an engineering. This is more like treating the body like a machine, okay? Materialism, mechanical. Okay, it's like a malfunctioning machine. This is how a lot of people treat the body. There's no inquiry into why this is happening or what is going on. What is the reorganization that's taking place? Where is he out of integrity, right? A lot of people, and I'm not talking about integrity as in right versus wrong. I'm talking about alignment. Like it's like, hey man, when this shit happens, you have to ask yourself some very, very deep questions, and you have to cut yourself off from any wanting or desire of going back to who you were, or of having the number one goal being healing. This is the art of surrender, the art of spirit, the art of God. There are deep, deep challenges on this in this human experience where you have to become something completely different in order to heal from the thing that is bringing you to your knees. You cannot just claw your way back to the person that you were, and because there is no spirit there. Spirit is about transformation. Spirit is about reorienting everything, mind, body, spirit, priorities, to become something new, just like a caterpillar to a butterfly. Illness is an initiation. It's not just something that you have to go down a mechanical list, an Excel spreadsheet, and say, okay, I did the Epstein-Barr, I did the mold, I did this, I did that, I did that. It doesn't work like that. That is materialistic and it is devoid of spirit. And let me tell you something. Whether you believe in spirit or not, whether you believe in soul or not, it's there. We all have it. Doesn't matter what you believe. It's just a fundamental law of the human experience, which I have observed. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. All I'm saying is that when you lose connection to soul, to spirit, to this subtlety, there's usually a price to pay. You could still be wildly successful. You can still feel good, but there's always a price to pay when you cut yourself off from this force. And when you treat the body in this optimization biohacking strategy. So you'll be completely disconnected from the why of the illness. The why is deep. The why is not Epstein-Barr. The why is not Lyme. The why is not heavy metals. These things are all compounding the symptoms, and they're all major culprits, but the why is deeper. Okay, the why is deeper, and that requires a search. Okay, it's not just an efficient, cold, calculating, aggressive pursuit of all of these different metrics. There has to be a soulful process, which we can talk more about in a moment. So the other thing is around the resistance to initiation, right? It's things like, I miss me, I want my life back, I want to be who I was. There's a lot of that going on. And there's again, a constant clawing it back to who he was. But the body... See, they say the body keeps the score, okay? Illness comes from trauma, stress, tension, and toxins, all right? It is all four of these things: trauma, stress, tension, and toxins. He is working very, very diligently at removing all of these toxins. However, the way he's doing it, he is accumulating more and more trauma, stress, and tension. There's a massive amount of graspiness and desperation in the way that these pursuits are being pursued. Okay, and there's no knock on him. He's just trying to heal. But what happens is, when we are very, very powerful beings, when we're intoxicated with that level of power and status and fame and performance, like he has been on the top of his game for many, many years, when you lose that, the desperation, the graspiness is equal. It's equal of that level of power. You just can't fathom that that's not you. We become identified with that level of precision and the level of performance, and how he can cut through any conversation, and he can be the alpha dominant person. And there's a lot of these are the deep masculine desires that he has embodied for a long time, because he's a really strong, powerful dude, right? When you start losing that, there's a deep desperation. The desperation has to be looked at. If you listen to the desperation, you'll create more and more and more drama, more and more problems. It's very, very hard to heal in that desperation. So the body is trying to inform him of things that are out of balance, of the trauma, the stress, and the tension patterns, and the unfair expectations to his body. So the body boycotts. The body boycotts. It just says no, because it cannot keep up with the mental expectations that this very, very strong, powerful dude, this sharp dude, is putting on his system. Okay? So the illness isn't in an initiation. Okay? If you stop asking how to go back and you start asking, what am I being reorganized into? Okay, it's not about getting this old self back. It's about reorganizing into a new version of oneself. And that may involve extreme treatments. It may involve a deep pursuit of detoxification and toxins and all of these things that he's doing. It's the how. Again, by the way, the treatments are very, very extreme and very intense, and I'm actually not a fan of this level of extreme treatment, because I believe it takes the agency away from the human, and it basically gives, it's like go away from the Western medicine, and then you take your agency and then you put it into the holistic medicine, and you're still losing your agency. The body will always have a backlash when you give your agency away. That's another fundamental rule. Okay? You have to have agency, which means that you use your own intuition, you use your own feeling, your own sense, not about constantly listening to experts. And then the other extreme agency giveaway is like, I'm going unconscious, they're just gonna take my blood out, they're gonna just do all these things to my body, just fix it. It's like, every time I've seen people who do treatments where it's just like, fix me, it's because, by the way, that's things that are happening to you. Right? The fever treatment, the IVs, they happen to you. The deepest transformations I've ever had with my health are when I change the internal structures and systems of my body. Yes, the detoxification is critical, but I'm doing it in my own bathroom, on my own pacing, on my own speed, with my own intuition and my own container. The container is very important. What's a container? Well, I'm not filming. I have my own privacy. I have my own solitude. I have my own essence, my safety. This healing is for me. When you do it in that way, where you just go unconscious, give it all away, take away my pain, and let's film the whole thing in the process, there's a massive fucking backlash. The backlash is that you lose you. You lose you. Because you're giving the agency away. The ultimate way of giving agency is going unconscious, right? That's like the ultimate process. Right now, I'm not saying there's any rules here, like don't get surgeries and don't do this and don't do that, but it's just a general theme that I see over and over again. It's a loss of agency. He's still trying to heal while still performing. So still performing, broadcasting, documenting, and holding the identity of Chris Williamson for the world, all while trying to deeply heal. There's always filming, there's the vlogs, there's maintaining the identity, there's a lot of light joking and laughter, which is not actually what's really going on deep in the system. There's a level of despair there. And he obviously brings that forward. I'm not saying he's lying or anything, but it's still a performance, okay? And so you turn the healing into content, and essentially everything of yours becomes for everyone. You lose something, right? So transformation is a very private thing, okay? And nothing in this process is truly owned by him. It's all for the audience, right? And it's again, it forces on a subtle level, a level of performance. There's no inner chamber. There's no deep protection. There's no sanctuary away from the stimulus, okay? And you cannot heal deeply while you're still performing your identity, okay? You know, just another theme that I've seen is the high performers, right? They don't struggle to try harder. They struggle to yield. There's a process by which you can actually yield to God, yield to something bigger than yourself. And when you are really a masterful performer and you just know how to dominate and how to win and how to get your way, it is so much harder to yield. Right, this is called Venusian energy in the spiritual arts, where it's not just about Mars and accomplishing and winning and dominating. You actually also have to learn how to sit still and let things come to you, and silence and receptivity, and to yield. So without the ability to yield, it's very, very hard to regenerate. At this point in time, his edge, even though he might think his edge is to keep performing and keep winning and keep making these videos and keep getting more and more money and more notoriety, but actually the edge is to let go. That is his most powerful edge. To trust, to spend weeks away from the internet, to spend weeks away from interviews, to spend weeks or not, if not months, rediscovering something soft, something vulnerable, something that doesn't rest on performance or rest on victory, okay? At some point, healing is not about adding more inputs. It's about changing your relationship to what's happening. That is the most important edge that I see in these videos for in terms of his actual, in terms of actual results. It's like a constant beast. His inner beast is just pointed towards fixing the problem, and he'll do whatever the fuck it takes. And if he has to cut off an arm, eventually he'll cut off an arm. There has to be a slowing down and not adding more inputs and beginning to change the relationship to what's happening, okay? Because you cannot just keep giving your body away. So at some point, the body needs leadership, not just more treatments. Okay, what does that mean? Well, the body will boycott when it doesn't have leadership. The body, it's a constant listening mechanism. The leader who's running the show, who's in control of everything, you, and I'm saying you to you, all of you individually, that has to be on point. That has to be in alignment. That has to be in connection to soul, spirit, and the actual the laws of a human vessel, human being, right? So when that's off and it puts too much pressure, too much expectation, too much graspiness, too much desire, and not enough truth, connection, depth, the body boycotts. So the last theme I want to talk about is the difference between astrality and the etheric. So, and this might go over some people's heads, but it's really, really important. See if you can try and understand what I'm trying to share here. So, there are two different, let's call it forces in the world, right? There's the etheric force, which is like the ocean is the largest etheric force in the world. It's nature. It's constantly moving. It's alive. It doesn't have any connection to the internet. It's a beingness, right? And in the body, there is an etheric body, which is essentially your level of chi, okay? If you ever had an experience, like we just finished a Spirit of a Man retreat, 7 days digital detox, doing all kinds of meditation practices and etheric practices. And after about 4 days, you drop into the body and all of the chaos is gone. All of the problems you think you have to solve, all of the insane digital energy that's being, we get slapped with every day, it just disappears. And you're presented with just the truth of your body, your existence, and your immediate surroundings. Back in the day, people would navigate from their etherics. They would sense directions from maybe a map or their intuition. The sailors would have just a compass and the sun, the moon, the clouds, the weather. It was a relationship to the immediate surroundings of the earth. And now what has happened is we've moved more into an astral world, a digital world, where we're being hit with thousands of stimuli on a daily basis. The Zoom calls and the text messages and the notifications and the news from all around the world. And it slaps our nervous system. And it actually desensitizes the nervous system, okay? And it's like asking a fish what's water. People just think that's normal life and then that's how life should be. They don't realize that only 100 or 150 years ago, it was completely different. So evolution takes time. We have not evolved to understand or to digest that level of astral onslaught. And it deeply affects the nervous system, and then people take it personally, right? If I have 5 Zoom calls in a day, I don't feel well. And now I could go ahead and say, oh my God, I have Lyme disease and this and that. But ultimately, when I come back to my body and go for a long walk and kick everything out, I'm back to 100% again. That's because you don't heal the problem at the level of the problem. You can't heal with more astrality. If you ever had a to-do list of hundreds of things that you think you have to do, and then you just get a good night of sleep, you work out, and all of a sudden you're connected to your body again, and all of a sudden all of those problems, all of that to-do list is just gone. It's not as important as you think it was. That is a representation of stepping out of astrality is how you heal. You have to connect to the etheric. Like, you break free from the astrality. You step out of it. You don't try and constantly solve with more and more and more astrality and more doctors and more treatments and more tests and more extreme things, bringing a new level of chaos to your nervous system. One has to learn how to enter their etheric. There's a quietness there. There's an emptiness there. Some people are very afraid of going there because that's where you'll feel your pain. The pain of being a human being, the pain in your heart, deep, deep loneliness, there's a lot of different pains that one can feel in the etheric. And again, a lot of people are afraid of it. They think it's not productive. In this case, the most productive thing to do is to take a step away from the astrality, to enter the etheric, the quietness of that, to go on a multiple week fishing trip with, no phone, and let nature heal you. Okay, and I'm not saying that's the ultimate solution all the time, but in this case, the classical rule of you don't heal at the level of the problem. You have to come into something different, which is the etheric. Okay, because astrality is making people sick. They don't even realize it. Again, it's like asking a fish what's water, but it truly is making people sick. And there is a way out, and it doesn't involve outsourcing your agency. So anyway, I hope Chris well. I wish him well. I really hope he heals, and hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm sure it applies to your healing journey as well. Okay? See you soon. Thanks.